Hey, Matt Essam here, founder of Creative Life. I wanted to record a quick video because I've been chatting to some agency owners recently who have been going up against other agencies in pitches and losing out. Now, when you're at the top of your game and you've got awards and you know you're really good at what you do, going up against other agencies and losing out can actually be quite demoralizing. And even if you're not directly going up against them in a pitch, like some of my clients have been doing recently, even if you're just having a sales conversation and the prospect says to you, we just need to get back to you because we're talking to a few other people, it can feel pretty rubbish. And you can get to the point where you start maybe questioning whether you're actually good at what you do, or you can kind of start asking yourself, like I did when I was running my agency, like, why am I even doing this? I'm just another commodity. I'm just another kind of worker in the sea of creative industries. And it can really kind of demotivate you. It can make you question why you're even doing this in the first place, and create a real kind of toxic, unmotivated feeling between you and even onto your team. So what I want to talk to you about today is how we stop doing that. What I want to share with you right now is a concept that we use with our clients to essentially allow them to create a market of one. So there's no one else like them. So they're not going up against other agencies to pitch. Now you might have heard, or you might have read, books like Win Without Pitching by Blair Enns, and other books like this. And those concepts are very sound, and we talk a lot about those concepts with our clients. But there's something that I think a lot of people miss, and that's what I want to share with you today. And when you get this right, what you'll find is that clients never compare you to somebody else. What they actually say is, there's actually nothing else out there like this that we know of. And we've not been able to find anybody else that does what you do in this way. And this is often referred to as a blue ocean. So this is really about not being compared to other people, being able to differentiate yourself in the market, and having clients that see you as a unique partner in their business, okay? There's this big idea that I want to share with you about the value that you have to bring to your clients and how you communicate that value, okay? So I'm just going to share my iPad for a second. I've got this diagram, okay? And this diagram essentially is an iceberg. And we're going to look at the top of the iceberg first. We're going to look at the things that are above the surface. Now, when I ask agency owners the question, what makes you different? They often say a number of things to me. They say, well, it's the kind of clients that we work with, or the experience that we create for our clients. We're just really good at this particular thing, and we give our clients an incredible experience. We're really solving problems for them. We give a huge attention to detail. We have a specific process. It's our experience that we've had in the industry, or 20 years of combined experience, or whatever it is. And all of these things are true. The problem is, from a client's perspective, they sound very similar to what everybody else says. And so when we're looking at above the surface here, I actually refer to these things like your portfolio and your style and your process, and essentially your CV, your list of experiences of who you've worked with, where you've worked, etc. Let me just make this a bit smaller. I refer to this as the surface value, because on the surface it looks very similar. So when clients are window shopping, they're hearing similar things. And I know this because I've been through the tendering process, and I know this because I've had the opportunity to speak to clients from the other side. And so I know that on the surface people look very similar, and we start getting down into, well, this agency has this particular style, or they've worked with these kind of clients, and all of these things. And really it just doesn't do justice to the value that you can bring to that client. And it can be quite frustrating from an agency perspective, right? So that's what we talk about when we talk about surface value. Now there's another layer down underneath the surface, which is what I refer to as like experience or experiential value. And this is the value that clients get when they actually work with us, right? And this is usually like the experience they have through the communication, through the relationships they build, through the quality of the work, how that customer actually feels. And so this is a type of value that is really important, but is usually communicated through referrals. So usually one of your clients will go to another client or another potential client and say, hey, we had this incredible experience with this agency. They helped us with this, they helped us with that. And so then that will come through as a referral, or it'll be word of mouth marketing, right? So that's why a lot of agencies at this level rely so heavily on word of mouth marketing, because it's a way to build trust with people in their existing network. And it's one of the most powerful forms of marketing because people trust other people who have had that experience. So that's what we talk about in terms of experiential marketing. And most agencies are doing this really well. The final part of differentiating yourself and communicating the value and making yourself different is what I call deep, let me just change the pen here, is what I call deep value. And deep value is usually, as the name suggests, locked right up down the depths of people's experience, right? And so the deep value is the stuff that we know is unique to us, but we often find it difficult to communicate to other people. So we know that we've got a lot to offer. We know that we've got great experience. We know that we can solve this problem. We know we do a great job on this, but often it's very difficult to communicate that because it seems quite intangible. And so I want to share a strategy with you that I believe will allow you to communicate this value in a way that will make you stand out from the competition and that will differentiate you from other agencies that are working out there, okay? So the thing that you need to understand about your deep value is that it's made up of all of the people that you know in your network, right? All the people that are currently in your network, all of the people you've even met in your life up until this point, all of the skills that you've acquired. And these aren't just hard skills like I know how to animate or I know how to design. These are your soft skills. This is about how you approach a specific problem, how you know when to do one thing over the other. These are your communication skills. These are all of the things that you've built up over the years. This is your specific knowledge, okay? We call it specific knowledge because really no one else has the same type and amount of knowledge that you have. They haven't read the books that you've read. They haven't done the same things that you've done. So there's very kind of specific knowledge that you have that's unique to you. There are specific passions that you have, interests, hobbies. There are certain, this you can't barely read this, but it says experiences, or it's supposed to say experiences, right? There are certain experiences that only you've had, trips you've been on, people that you've, shared certain things with, projects that you've worked on, right? And so what people don't understand is that all of these things in the deep level of experience and deep level of value are unique to you. So nobody else has the exact same combination of these things that you do. No one else in the world. This is your unique value, your unique combination of people in your network, skills that you have, knowledge, passions, all of these things. This is really where your deep value is locked up. So the process that we share with our clients, the thing that we get agencies to do who have got 10, 15, 20 plus years experience, when they're coming across these problems where they're being compared to other agencies with similar experience, is we get them to first of all look at their deep value, because most people don't even know what that deep value looks like. They've never taken time to really unpack it and understand how or why it's valuable for someone. And then the second thing is, how do we bring that value from the depths of the sea to the surface of the sea so that we can communicate that with our ideal clients? Because when you can do this, and when you can do this consistently, it changes how people feel about you and the services that you offer. What it makes them feel is that you're in a unique position to help them. You're in a unique position to solve their problem, right? So the big idea that I'm really trying to lead with here is that your real value is locked up inside your story. Your story is the key to unlocking the deep value that you have that is unique to you, that's going to position you differently to other agencies. And when you can tap into that, it will allow you to create a market of one. And I promise you will never be compared to anybody else. And so when we're working with our clients, we often refer to this as your zone of genius, right? Your zone of genius. And so this is all of the combination of those things, because when you look at your story, when you unpack all of the things that are underneath here, and we actually go through a process with our clients we call the river of life, where we go back and actually unpack their story and unpack all of these things, what comes out of these things are themes. Now, these themes are all pointing to a specific problem or challenge that you are in a unique position to solve. So I'll give you an example from real life. When I unpacked my story, some of the themes that came from it were business, were psychology, were creativity, obviously not spelling or handwriting were not the themes. And there were lots of others, right? Psychology, creativity, communication. As a specific example around communication, I was always a talker. I was always disrupting class at school because I was always talking. My mum used to tell me that I could talk before I could walk, so that was a theme throughout my life. It was something that I was always doing, whereas other people were maybe slightly more introverted and weren't as good at communication. And we've got clients where drawing and illustration and design was part of their story because that's how they communicated, and that was unique to them along the other combination of things. And so when I unpacked that, I realized that with all of these things, in the center here, I was in this unique position to solve a problem for someone. And those people were creatives, other creatives, especially agency owners, because there was a gap between the creativity and the business. And other experiences I've had which give me value around psychology and mindset and things like that allowed me to often get people unstuck when it came to these business problems, because a lot of them were mindset problems. A lot of the time they were things that people were thinking rather than the actual strategy, and how I communicate those things. And I could go on, but essentially this is what you have right now. You have this huge amount of value. You're sitting on this huge amount of value, this deep value, and you're in a unique position to solve a problem for someone. And when you figure out who that is, and when you can articulate that through story, and when you can articulate that through these themes, everything changes. So before I wrap up, I just want to tell you a really quick story, because I love this one. The story of one of my clients that I worked with a while ago called Scott. Now, when I first met Scott, he used to introduce himself as a designer. I run a design studio. I'm passionate about design, etc., etc. And I said, that's great, Scott, but with all due respect, you sound exactly like every other designer I've met. And what Scott realized was one of the reasons that his potential clients were often pushing back on price and comparing him to other people and looking at him as a bit of a commodity was because he was communicating with this surface level value. And when I started to get to know Scott, and when I started to ask him about his hobbies and his passions and his experiences, it was clear to me that he was very interested in the outdoors and adventure, and he liked climbing and hiking and all of these different things, all of this deep value. He started to tell me his story. And so as we unpacked this story and as we positioned his agency, he went from saying, hey, I'm Scott, I'm a designer, to actually, hey, I'm Scott, and I love helping outdoor and adventure brands to bring their ideas to life through visually engaging content. Now that might seem like a play on words, and it might seem like a kind of creative trick, but it was authentic to Scott because it came from his unique value. It came from that deep value and that deep understanding of the problem that he was in a unique position to solve. And as a result of going through this process, Scott actually managed to get Red Bull as one of his clients, because Scott started communicating with this deep value. He started connecting with people on a human-to-human level rather than a transactional level. And he started to build relationships with the kind of people who aligned with his values and that had similar experiences and similar passions and similar hobbies as him. And that was ultimately what allowed him to differentiate himself in the market and for people to see him differently. And we've got lots and lots of case studies where we've done this over and over again. I want to keep this video short, so I'm not going to run through them all. Maybe I'll put a link to them in the description. But the big idea is that you're in a unique position to solve a problem for someone, and that problem is locked up inside of your deep value. And that's ultimately how you differentiate. That's ultimately how you stop getting compared to other agencies, getting compared on price, getting compared on all of these things that really don't do justice to the value that we can bring to our clients. So I hope you found this valuable. I'd love to know in the comments if this has happened to you. Is this something that's happened to you? Do you get compared to other agencies, or is this not a problem that you have if you're an agency owner? I'd love to just know your thoughts about this video or any questions that you've got. I'm going to be reading the comments and I will do my best to reply to all of them. Until next time, my name is Matt Essam and I'll speak to you soon. So if you'd like to dig down into some of these strategies a little bit further, then click the link below and you can apply for my live workshop where I will be showing you behind the scenes of what's working for other creative agencies and giving you a custom roadmap to grow your business.